So, today we're talking about a guy named John Osborne. And let me tell you, he didn't just write plays, he basically grabbed British theater by the collar and gave it a huge shake. He was the one who brought all the raw, messy stuff of real life and just slammed it right onto the stage. And that's really the big question we're digging into here. Because, before Osborne came along, seeing real, unfiltered anger in a fancy London theater, that just wasn't a thing. He completely flipped the script. And to really get how big of a deal that was, we got to take a look at the world he was about to set on fire. All right, so to really grasp the earthquake that John Osborne caused, you have to picture what came before. I mean, the world of post-war British theater, well, it was, for the most part, a very polite place. Yeah, think about those drawing room comedies, the super well-mannered dramas. The characters were almost always upper class, everyone kept their emotions buttoned up, and the actual gritty reality for most people, that was left at the door. It was all just polished surfaces. And this right here, this says it all. On one hand, you've got that traditional, totally buttoned-up theater, and on the other, the revolution Osborne was about to start. They called it kitchen sink realism. And the name fits, right? It was messy, it was unpolished, and it was all about the gritty, everyday struggles of working-class people. A world the stage had pretty much ignored until then. So into this super polite world walks this voice, and it is anything but polite. We're talking about a voice just fueled by frustration, disillusionment, and this raw, powerful anger at the whole establishment. And here it is, the moment it all changes. It's 1956. The play is Look Back in Anger, and when it premieres, it's not just a play, it's like a lightning strike. It was in your face, it was loud, and it perfectly captured how an entire generation was feeling, totally left behind by post-war Britain. The thing is, Osborne didn't just write a hit play. He kind of accidentally became the face of this whole new cultural movement. The press called them the angry young men. These were writers who were just done. They were fed up with the old, polite way of doing things, and they used their work to really take aim at British society, the class system, the whole shebang. And the heart of this play is a character named Jimmy Porter. Now, he's not your typical hero, not by a long shot. He's this working-class guy who managed to get a university education, but he is just seething with anger at a class system that has no room for him. And he lets it all out, just unleashing these incredible tirades on everyone around him. For audiences back then, seeing a character that raw and that real, wow, it was absolutely electrifying. But here's the thing. Osborne was no one-hit wonder. Nope. Look Back in Anger was just the start. He kept digging into these themes, societal change, identity, personal conflict, for his entire career. Literally the very next year, he comes out with The Entertainer, and in this one, he uses this character, a fading music hall performer named Archie Rice, as this incredible metaphor for Britain itself, a country that was losing its empire and just couldn't figure out its place in the new modern world. It's this really powerful, kind of bitter look at a nation facing its own decline. Then, he does something different. He goes into history with a play called Luther. But this was not your stuffy, boring period piece. Osborne presents Martin Luther's fight against the church as this deeply personal, psychological battle against a huge, powerful institution. And you know what? The rage against authority in that play felt every bit as modern and raw as Jimmy Porter's. And then there's inadmissible evidence. Here, he just turns the camera completely inward. It's this fractured, almost nightmarish look at a lawyer who is having a complete mental breakdown. The whole play basically takes place inside this guy's head. It's a brilliant but really unsettling look at moral collapse and just how fragile our sense of self can be. Okay, so what's really important to get is that this intense, critical voice wasn't just for his characters. Osborne took these ideas and explored them everywhere, across different media, and he often pointed the camera right back at himself. Yeah, he definitely wasn't going to stay put in the theater. His biggest plays were turned into some really powerful films, and he also wrote 2 incredibly honest autobiographies, basically letting everyone see the man who was creating all this anger. And you can see that path right here, from the stage to the movie screen, and then to the personal page. The film versions, a lot of them by Tony Richardson, brought that raw energy to a massive new audience. And the autobiographies, well, they really gave us the backstory, the context for the voice that was defining a generation. In those books, A Better Class of Person and Almost a Gentleman, Osborne really lays it all out there. His childhood, his messy relationships with his parents, and this constant feeling of being stuck between his working-class roots and the big-shot literary world he was now a part of. You can totally see how his own life was the fuel for the fire in his plays. So, when you pull back and look at it all, what's the big takeaway? What did all this anger, all this incredible writing actually build? Well, the answer is pretty simple. A completely new kind of theater. I mean, Osborne's legacy is just immense. He absolutely shattered the mold of that polite, buttoned-up drama. He took the real lives and the real language of ordinary, frustrated people and put them front and center. It wasn't just about a new style. He basically gave a whole generation of writers permission to be angry, to be brutally honest, and to drag uncomfortable truths out into the light. He really paved the way for so many who came after. And that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? Osborne's rebellion completely reshaped theater in his time. So it makes you wonder, who are the John Osbornes of today? Right now, which voices are using the stage, or any platform really, not just to entertain us, but to challenge us, to provoke us, and to make us look back in anger at the world we're living in right now?